What if I told you that the moment you were born, before you earned your first coin, before you paid your first tax, before you even spoke your first word, you were already in debt? Not because you borrowed anything, not because you signed anything, not because you made a mistake, but because a law passed generations ago quietly declared you a permanent debtor. A law most people have never heard of. A law that reshaped nations. A law that turned citizenship into an obligation, not a choice. Today we're re-uncovering the forgotten legal shift that transformed every citizen into a lifelong contributor to a machine built on taxes, interest and state debt. This is the story, the forgotten law that made every citizen a debtor for life. To understand this law, we must first understand something older, something that shaped every economy on Earth. Governments borrow money, citizens pay it back. It wasn't always this way. In ancient times, rulers funded themselves through land, conquest, or personal wealth. Taxes existed, but were periodic, temporary, and often symbolic. That changed with the rise of public debt in the 17th century, the moment states began borrowing money from private lenders. But borrowing came with a problem. Debts had to be repaid, not by kings, not by ministers, but by citizens. The public didn't know it yet, but the foundation for permanent debt slavery was being laid. The next step was legalizing this obligation, and that's where the forgotten law enters. The system reached its breaking point in 1971, when the United States removed the gold backing from the dollar. Once money was no longer tied to gold, governments were free to borrow limitlessly. Debt skyrocketed, budgets exploded, interest payments multiplied. And because the forgotten law links state debt to citizen obligation, the pressure shifted to ordinary people. Governments needed more revenue, gives more taxes, gives more fees, gives more financial penalties, gives more wage deductions. Your labor became a tool to service the state's dependency on lenders. You didn't see it. You didn't vote for it, but you inherited it. A child born today arrives with a slice of national debt already assigned to their future labor. This isn't metaphor, it's math. Today, global debt has exploded past $300 trillion. Every nation owes, every government borrows, every citizen pays. And the numbers are staggering. The average American effectively inherits over $100,000 in public debt. In the UK, every citizen carries roughly £40,000 of public debt on their shoulders. Japan's citizens each carry the equivalent of $85,000 in public obligations. You didn't create this debt, but the forgotten law made you responsible for it. And the fallout: 1. Higher income taxes to fund interest payments, not services. 2. Higher cost of living inflation is the hidden tax that pays off old debts. 3. Reduced wages, money printed to cover deficits erodes salary value. 4. Less economic mobility because debt steals growth from the future. 5. A silent obligation you can't escape. There is no opt-out, no signature required, no alternative system available. The moment you participate in society, you enter the machine. Every attempt to solve the problem made it worse. Printing more money leads to inflation, reduces purchasing power, increases need for borrowing. Borrowing to stimulate the economy creates more debt, requires more taxes, burdens future citizens, even further raising taxes, limits economic growth, reduces business activity, shrinks the tax base. Cutting services hurts citizens, doesn't reduce the debt, triggers public backlash, lowering interest rates, encourages more borrowing, expands debt obligations, fuels bigger bubbles. Governments aren't incentivized to escape debt. Banks profit from it. Politicians rely on it. Economies depend on it. So the system continues growing faster than any nation can control. The forgotten law remains untouched, because removing it would collapse the entire structure. Today, the same cycle is happening again globally. Countries borrow endlessly. Citizens fund the interest. The gap widens every year, and the same historical pattern appears. Ancient Mesopotamia collapsed under unpayable debts. Rome fell when taxes crushed its citizens. Medieval Europe buckled under feudal obligations. Industrial nations nearly collapsed in 1929. Modern countries are nearing the same fate. Every time, the same mechanism triggers collapse, when public debt outgrows the people's ability to pay. The system self-destructs right now. The world is closer to that tipping point than ever. Today's newborns inherit debt the moment they breathe. The forgotten law lives on, invisible, untouchable, undeniable. 1. You are a taxpayer first, a citizen second. The system is designed around debt repayment, not individual prosperity. 2. Public debt is a private burden. Nations borrow, citizens pay. This has been true for 300 years. 3. You were entered into the system automatically. You didn't choose it, you inherited it. And it grows faster than any generation can escape. If history is accurate, and it always is, every society built on unending debt eventually reaches a breaking point. And when it comes, it won't be the governments or banks that pay the price. It'll be the people. People who never asked for the debt. People who never approved the laws. People who were born into a system they didn't design. That is the true cost of the forgotten law.